While a veteran opposition leader, Odinga, will be running against incumbent President Uhuru Kenyatta in Kenyan elections coming up on August 8.
Kenyans will be choosing their new president, lawmakers and local representatives. Many voters are jittery, fearing a repeat of the 2007 polls when Odinga alleged rigging and called for demonstrations. The political protest and ethnic violence that followed killed more than 1,200 people. Kenya opposition leader Raila Odinga said the ruling party cannot win next week's national elections unless it rigs the results. Joining us in the studio to discuss this is the publisher Inside Watch Africa and African Affairs analyst Oluwaseyi Adeyemo. Thanks for joining us. Now we heard what Raila Odinga said. He says Uhuru Kenyatta cannot win the elections except he rigs the elections. What makes him so confident?
Because the signature is clearly written on the world. It is important that African leaders must understand that leadership really is about the people. It's not what they're able to acquire for themselves. And there's nothing wrong in being in office and leaving office. So I wonder sometimes when they're unable to play by the rules of the game and bring equity onto the table.
I hope you're not saying that what Odinga is saying is true, because I'm wondering, and I was going to take it up from there. Isn't it rather inciting when you outrightly say that your opponent can't win except he rigs? The election hasn't been done yet.
Now, when you have an opposition that is stronger than you, what you do, the younger person or the smaller or the lesser powerful person shouts louder. The truth of the matter is, why are there already pockets of violence all over the place? Why are the women pray? Why are we seeing other signs? You see, these things are clear. Look, the truth of the matter is, if there's no equity, and when the referee, as it were, is the incumbent, there's a need to show the fact that, look, I am not going to obstruct justice in any way, and there will be no need for any cry. So that's important, because the reason why there's this cry, they say that if there's no smoke, there's no fire. The reason why he's shouting is because all of the signals so far are shown the fact that there is not likely to be fairness in the way things are.
Isn't that subjective, really? Because it's from inside.
The truth of the point is, you could say subjective, but bottom line is expressing the fact that there's a true fair. And the thing, there's no problem with expressing that. The thing is, will Mr. President ensure that he assures the people in the way he goes about determining how things are run, that there's no reason for what he has just said?
We also know ethnicity plays a huge role in elections in Kenya, and I just read an article by the BBC where couples who are intermarried are concerned about the turnout of the elections. What do you think, or how do you think Kenya should handle this?
With a lot of caution, because it's not just Kenyans that will suffer. Their neighbors, they have landlocked neighbors, and for whatever it's worth, Kenya's economy is about the biggest in East Africa. And so Rwanda and the rest of them in that Somalia, Democratic of Congo will suffer if anything goes wrong. So for the sake of Kenyans who have not done anything wrong by being Kenyans, and for the sake of their neighbors, because the truth of the matter is, you have not done anything special by being the economic hub of that place. Just be responsible at handling it. So my suggestion is there need to be caution. The president, Kenyatta, needs to come out boldly and tell everyone, look, if you dispel the fear, everyone will go back and do things. There's nothing wrong with playing by the rules.
Well,
I wonder why it's this difficult.
I hope you're not saying that it's not dispelling the fear. That's by the way.
I need to take you on that. Yeah. Are there signals that he has shown? Has it come up? Because all he's done is to go to one or two places. Look, the thing is about rules. If these things are clear by the rules, there'll be no need for any crime.
There is a maxim, why drive when you can fly? Choppers have been introduced in the Kenyan election, incidentally. Kenya space, election space, you know. How does that rub off on you? As we're talking, there are about 88 registered choppers, and the commentary is that by the time the election ends, you could get up to 100.
Absolutely.
How does that rub off on you?
Show of power. Show of... And that's why there's a cry.
Intimidation.
Intimidation.
Almost all the candidates.
That's the point.
Some 2, some 1.
That's the point.
In Africa.
That's the point. You see, when you're showing all the signals, then you don't have any other sane way other than to shout. Because if he had another alternative way of questioning this approach, it probably would have gone through.
No, but he has 2. Odinga has 2 himself.
You see,
it's not just about Uhuru. Odinga has 2,
yes.
Uhuru has 2, his family is quite rich.
Yes.
And the others have 1, and they have their pictures painted on the things, you know.
The idea is when the rule or the referee determines that this is the way the game will be played, election is conducted all over the world. South Africa, incidentally, the last election they had, I was in South Africa, it was going on and other activities.
What happened?
And sometimes you just wonder, people go from work, oh, I need to go and vote and go. Why do we allow such an exercise that, first of all, is meant to determine the welfare of the people, go a way where it becomes like we're going into war? Why do we do that?
So it goes back to say that there are always priorities. Kenyans, they want something, and that's why they are voting. Now, let me ask you, what should be Odinga's priorities if he wins this election?
First of all, to let people know that there's no need to play the card of ethnicity when you're ruling a people. And that is why, you see, when they had a unity party, this was not there. But now that they have a multi-party and, you know, you're able to, like it happens in Nigeria and the other African countries, you're able to now look at, oh, this man is for my tribe. Oh, that man is not part of my religion. And you can play those cards. At the end of the day, I tell my people all the time, look, I'm not moved by that. The essence is, so what do you do for the well-being of the people, not minding where you're.
Governance.
Yeah.
Before you run, let me just drop this, very important. Nearly half the country's more than 19 million eligible voters are under 35. What does this tell you, or tell us, generally, about the election in Kenya?
I will now say more, be more careful, because then you're talking about youths.
Young people.
You're talking about people who could take up arms. And it is clear that all over the world, when you have youths that are unemployed, that are not driven, that are not occupied, they could become danger, impending danger for the nation.
Thank you so much for your time. Publisher, Inside Watch Africa and African Affairs analyst Oluwaseyi Adeyemo. We appreciate you.
Thank you for having me.